Somewhere behind you, a car backfires. Your shoulders jump. Your eyes slam shut. Your hands come up before your brain has even said the word loud. You didn't decide to do any of that. It happened first. You just got the memo afterward. That's strange when you think about it. Your body reacted to a sound before you consciously heard the sound. How is that even possible? The answer says something uncomfortable about who is actually in charge of you. You like to think you're the one driving. You wake up, you make choices, you plan your day, you believe your thoughts come before your actions. But that flinch proves otherwise. Somewhere inside your skull, a much older system is running the show, and it doesn't wait for permission. Here's what's actually happening. Sound enters your ear as vibration. It gets converted into an electrical signal. That signal has two possible routes it can take through your brain. One route is long. It travels up to your auditory cortex, gets analyzed, gets identified, gets labeled as car or gunshot or just a door. That route is accurate. It's also slow. The other route is short. It skips the thinking part entirely and goes straight to a small almond-shaped cluster deep in your brain called the amygdala. Neuroscientist Joseph LeDoux spent decades mapping this exact shortcut, and he found that a loud or sudden sound can reach the amygdala roughly 12 milliseconds after it hits your ear. 12 milliseconds. That's faster than you can blink on purpose. The amygdala doesn't care what the sound actually was. It doesn't wait for identification. It only asks one question: could this kill me? And if the answer might be yes, it fires the alarm immediately, before the slow, accurate route even finishes its analysis. LeDoux called this the low road, as opposed to the high road running through your cortex. The low road is crude. It's imprecise. It can't tell the difference between a gunshot and a dropped textbook if the frequency and suddenness are similar enough. But it doesn't need to be precise. It just needs to be first. By the time your accurate, detailed cortex-level understanding arrives, telling you it was only a textbook, your body has already flinched, already braced, already prepared to run. The correction comes after the reaction, not before it. Why would a brain evolve to sacrifice accuracy for speed? Ask yourself what happens if the roles were reversed. That alarm is the startle-reflex. Researcher Michael Davis, working out of Emory University, spent years studying this exact circuit in the brainstem, tracing how a single loud noise triggers an automatic sequence. Eyes clamp shut, neck muscles contract, shoulders rise, arms pull inward. He found this pattern is essentially identical across nearly every person tested, and it's nearly identical in rats too. That should tell you something. This isn't a personality trait. It isn't nerves. It's hardware. Davis traced the circuit down to just a handful of neurons in the brainstem, a pathway so short and so direct that the whole reflex can complete in under 100 milliseconds. Compare that to how long it takes you to consciously recognize a face or read a word, or make a simple decision about what to eat. Those tasks take whole seconds. The flinch doesn't have seconds. It only has milliseconds, because in the environment it was built for, seconds were the difference between a close call and a fatal one. And the reflex doesn't just protect your eyes and your neck. Your whole posture changes in that instant. Your shoulders rise to protect your throat. Your arms pull toward your center to shield your torso. Your knees bend slightly, ready to move. None of this is random. Every part of that flinch is a tiny, compressed survival maneuver, refined over an almost unimaginable number of repetitions, long before anyone alive today was born. Why would your body build hardware like this? Why react before you know what you're reacting to? Consider what the alternative would look like. Imagine a version of you that waited for full information before reacting to anything. A car backfires. You calmly listen. You analyze the pitch, the duration, the direction it came from. You compare it against memories of similar sounds. You reach a careful, well-reasoned conclusion. That version of you is more accurate. That version of you is also, historically speaking, dead. Because for almost all of human history, waiting to be sure was how you died. Picture your ancestors on an open grassland 60,000 years ago. A rustle in tall grass could be wind. It could also be a leopard. The human who paused to calmly analyze the sound, weigh the odds, and reach a confident conclusion was often the human who got eaten mid-thought. The human who flinched first and thought later survived to have children. Over hundreds of thousands of generations, that flinch got wired in deeper and deeper because it kept working. Evolution doesn't reward accuracy. It rewards survival. And a fast, wrong guess beats a slow, correct one when the cost of being wrong is your life. This is where evolutionary psychiatrist Randolph Nesse offers the clearest explanation of all. Nesse compares your fear system to a smoke detector. A good smoke detector isn't tuned to fire only when there's a confirmed serious fire. It's tuned to fire at the first hint of smoke, even if that smoke just came from burnt toast. Why? Because the cost of a false alarm is mild annoyance. The cost of a missed real fire is death. So the smart design, biologically speaking, is to accept 1,000 false alarms in exchange for never missing one true emergency. Your startle reflex is built on that exact logic. It's not trying to be right. It's trying to never be wrong at the worst possible moment. That's why you flinch at a slammed cabinet door, a dropped pan, a sudden shout from another room, even though none of those things are leopards. Your amygdala isn't stupid. It's just playing extremely defensive odds, using a threat calculator built for a world that mostly no longer exists. Think about what that means for your daily life. You live now in a world of car alarms, ringtones, sudden video ads, and neighbors slamming doors. None of it is a predator. All of it can still trigger the same ancient alarm your ancestors used for lions. Your nervous system hasn't been updated. It's still running software designed for the savannah, installed on hardware that now lives in an apartment building. You felt this in dozens of small moments you probably never connected to each other. The unexpected buzz of a phone against a wooden desk, a coworker walking up behind you without a word, the sharp clang of a dish dropped in a kitchen down the hall, a car horn from a driver who isn't even angry at you. Each one lands on the exact same ancient circuitry that once scanned the grass for movement. Your amygdala doesn't know the difference between the year 60,000 years ago and this afternoon. It only knows the pattern: sudden, sharp, unexpected, therefore possibly dangerous, therefore react now and ask questions later. There's a reason horror movies and jump scares work on literally everyone, regardless of how much you consciously know it's coming. A director doesn't need you to believe a monster is real. They only need a sudden loud noise at the right moment, and your amygdala does the rest, completely independent of what your thinking brain already knows about the plot. That's not weakness. That's just how deep this circuit sits, underneath the layer of you that watches movies and knows better. Is that a flaw? Not exactly. It's a trade-off. You inherited a system that occasionally embarrasses you in a quiet office when your phone buzzes too loudly. In exchange, that same system will physically move your body out of the way of a falling object faster than conscious thought ever could. You don't get one without the other. Fast and occasionally wrong is the whole design. There's something else worth noticing here, and it's the part most people miss entirely. The flinch happens. Then, a fraction of a second later, your conscious mind catches up and starts narrating a story about it. You might think, that startled me because I'm tired, or that startled me because I'm anxious today. But the sequence is backwards. The flinch came first, automatic and unowned. The explanation came second, invented after the fact by a part of your brain trying to make sense of something it didn't actually control. You are, in this very specific moment, a storyteller explaining a decision you never made. That raises an odd question. If your body can react before your conscious mind even knows what happened, how much of your daily behavior is actually decided somewhere else first, with your thinking brain just filling in a tidy explanation afterward? It's an uncomfortable thought, mostly because you spend your whole life assuming the opposite. You assume you are the author, not the editor. You assume your intentions come first and your body simply follows instructions. The startle reflex quietly breaks that assumption over and over, dozens of times a week, and you barely even notice it happening, because your mind is so good at writing a smooth story afterward that covers up the gap. Some researchers say this goes beyond loud noises, peripheral movement, a stranger standing too close, certain tones of voice. Each trips the same jump first, explain later circuit before you've consciously noticed the trigger. This doesn't mean you're broken or anxious. It's a survival tool built over hundreds of thousands of years. Every ancestor you have startled fast enough at sounds in the dark to survive and pass it on. The ones who didn't aren't your ancestors. So next time a door slams and you jump before you think, that's not overreacting. It's everyone before you, keeping you alive first, explaining later.